Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along to round 15 of AFR season number 7. It is, of course, the Temple of Speed Circuit de Monza for the 15th installment of the 7th season of Aussie Formula Racing. The Temple of Speed, 11 very, very iconic corners, 5.8 kilometers, and of course those three very, very fast sectors, the highest speed circuit on the entire F1 calendar. 2 DRS zones to assist with overtaking both into turns 1 and turn 8, and Tier 2 have already seen a lot of action over the past couple of seasons. Farmer Sam, Keeper, and Ibis off the race start a couple seasons ago, recording probably one of the fastest retirements and fastest safety cars in AFR history, a virtual safety car being called on that occasion before the drivers even got to the very first corner. And unfortunately for the Ferrari driver, his race cut very, very short. Also at the first chicane, we have Stars and Simdogger, the two title protagonists a couple of seasons ago. Simdogger getting all out of shape coming out of turn 2, and Stars having to dip a couple of tires onto the grass. Well, fortunately, in that occasion, able to keep the car pointing the correct direction. Simdogger a little bit later on in that very same race found out the hard way what happens when you push a bit too hard in the first Lesmo, and that is turn 6 in that middle sector, and finding the barrier on the right-hand side of the track, and his hopes of a victory around at the Temple of Speed crushed with that one single mistake. And now at the Ascari chicane, turns 8, 9, and 10, we have Lights, one of the title protagonists in this season here in Tier 3, finding, well, spinning on the exit of that chicane and having to back out in his Alfa Romeo, trying to avoid all of the oncoming cars down at that straight. And now we should be just about ready to get things underway. And I am joined once again, well, for the first time actually, in the comms box. I don't know if he's actually here yet. No, he's not. I will be joined by Bandcamp a little bit later on. But until that happens, it's just me. Usually hear me from things in Tier 2. But of course, Bait, unfortunately, unable to fill in for the time being, so you're stuck with me for the next little bit. So I hope everyone is doing well in the chat. Of course, one of the probably the most important days in modern Formula 1 history today. The 12th of December 2021 will go down in the history books as one of the greatest title deciders Formula 1 has seen in a very long time. Can Lewis Hamilton clinch his eighth world driver's title and surpass the great Michael Schumacher? He already has in many of the stat lines, and we will see if he's able to make it one more, the big one, the titles this evening around the Yaz Island circuit, or can Max Verstappen take the Netherlands, well, the Dutch's first driver's title and break the streak as Nico Rosberg was able to do back in 2016. So we have currently 19 drivers in the session. They're just about to get ready to load in. So I'll stop this wonderful background music. Shout out to any of you guys who know what game that is from, as we are about to load into the session. So just give me a couple of moments to set this all up. There we go. Should probably put that on that. Awesome. Alright, so the Temple of Speed, 5.8 kilometers, 11 turns, 2 DRS zones, and a lot of very harsh braking zones. And quite a high chance of weather here as well. And just as I said, here we go. The skies have opened up on the Temple of Speed, so we won't be going as fast as Lewis Hamilton did last year, setting the highest average speed of a lap time. I believe it's around 280 kilometers an hour. Absolutely rapid from that Mercedes and that W11. And here we go, 19 drivers on this grid, and we are in for quite a wild ride, ladies and gentlemen. The heavens have opened up. A couple of cars are now going out onto the track. I don't know if Ben's even here with me yet.
I am right here, sir.
Oh, glad to have you finally join us. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's a great pleasure to always have someone as experienced as yourself. And the skies have opened up at the Temple of Speed for this 15th round of the inaugural Tier 3 season. And what challenge is that going to pose to all of our drivers? Because everyone's been doing a lot of dry practice. I haven't seen a lot of wet running from all of these guys throughout the week.
Yeah, well, I think it's definitely going to mix things up. Like you say, I don't think many people have done any wet practice at all, and especially considering the changes that have been made to the track in terms of the curbs and possible floor damage. I think we might even see some drivers DNF or get some floor damage during qualifying. So I think it'll reward those that are keep it on the black stuff, and yeah, I think it'll be very, very tight indeed.
We'll have to see how things go. Bunnings snag that Aston Martin, the first driver out on track to set a lap. There's a bit of confusion on the tyres as well. A couple of drivers going out on the intermediates, a couple on those extreme full wet tyres. It seems quite heavy at the moment, so we'll see what the stopwatch says after the initial runs, as Lights has already crashed on his outlap band at the Ascari chicane.
Yep, there it is. First one, didn't even make it through his outlap, so unlucky for the Alpine driver there.
Well, I do this with Seb all the time, band. You get the honours. Bunnings snags, starting a lap, so take us around a lap of the Temple of Speed, if you please, with the Aston Martin.
All right, well, he's still going down the main straight, and he breaks just before the 100-metre board, probably about 120 into turn one, into the tight chicane, keeping off those curbs, as I mentioned earlier. Trying to keep the throttle under control, very loose at the rear. Really struggling to get on the power there. It's now into the long turn three. As we saw some highlights here in the real race, breaks at about the 100-metre board again, trying to stay off these curbs, keeping it nice and calm. Does look quite weak. Oh, geez, has a big moment of oversteer, and we've lost another driver forehead at a Ascari chicane. He must be running. I'm guessing we're going to have a dry race because these guys have no grip at all. Bunnings snags really struggling to keep the power down through these corners. Obviously no DRS into the here. Now how is he going to go through the Ascari chicane? Goes a little bit wide. Doesn't take too much curb. Keeps it under control. Now on this back straight. Where's he going to brake? We'll have to wait and see coming into the penultimate corner. Brakes at about the 75-metre mark. Doesn't hit the apex. Big moment of oversteer mid-corner. Coming across the line now. 132.3.
Yes,
on the wet tyre.
Yeah, the wet tyres not providing a lot of grip. There is a lot of standing water on this racetrack. It looks like the majority of drivers have actually selected to go onto the extreme wet. So we have one of the Alpha Tauris coming around the final corner now. That'd be Simi Skate about to start a lap. But Scarsol's going through the newly named Alboreto curve. Of course, after the famous Italian racing driver. I mean, some people still call it Parabolico. And Scarsols goes to second place on the timing tower. Make that third as Sneaky, the first driver, into the 1 minute 31 with 1:31.3, as it looks like Lick in that Haas slots in right behind him. And Seb is showing why the intermediates are the tie to be on, band. A 1 minute 30.7 from the Williams, and our championship leader at the moment. And he is looking to make amends after a poor run of form in the last couple of races.
Yeah, it's definitely trying to maximize these tricky conditions at the moment. Really kind of a mixed field where we've just had Crush go fastest with a 129.8. So I think this is going to be rewarding confidence at this track here with these conditions at the moment. Not sure if you mentioned, but I think we've also got a couple of drivers making their debut. Bambi and BD's Nuts.
Yes, we have quite a few reserves on this grid at the moment. Some you're well familiar with from the past couple of rounds, but yes, a couple of drivers making their AFR debut, looking to impress, and of course trying to maximize their finishing position as much as possible to hopefully get themselves a full-time drive. Currently looking at the Mercedes of the Saggy Kid as he goes down the second DRS zone. Of course, no DRS in these kinds of conditions because it's absolutely pouring out there at the Circuit de Monza. But there's a
And it looks like
chicane.
it's getting heavier as well. So I think the time for the inters might have been right at the start. I may be wrong, but that's just what it looks like to me.
It certainly looks that way. Seb does improve on his intermediate compound tires, but he's still, what is that, 6/10 off of Crush. That is absolutely astounding. And Bambi on in his debut, well, he's beaten the championship leader at the moment, Seb. Not Seb. That's a bit later on. Bandcam. My bad. Yes, Bambi,
Yeah.
Red Bull.
On the same tire as well, on the intermediate, but only just. So we'll have to wait and see. Maybe Crush is running a bit more wing, but we'll have to wait and see. And that's not something people can adjust now, given that parc fermé conditions apply as soon as you head out onto the track.
Yeah, a couple of drivers still struggling. Conrad finding the gravel trap at the Ascara chicane. He's going very, very slowly as well. So struggling with these conditions. We've already lost 2 drivers without setting a lap time. And they are 2 very fast drivers as well, Ben. So Forehead and Lights. Second and fourth. And there goes another one. There goes Lick. Who both passes out.
Chicane on the exit. I think Conrad's broken his wing. That's why he's going so slow.
Yeah, we'll get a look on board with the McLaren of Latino filling in for Gus Rules. And you can see on that left-hand side that Haas, I think he just got either a bit too eager on that exit curb band or just nixed that inside curb at the end of turn 10.
Yeah, I reckon you're on the money there, as Farmer Sam is just starting a flying lap, if you're interested, on the intermediate tyre.
Very, very interested. This tyre dilemma is still so baffling. We have a couple of drivers who are making it work on the intermediates, but still that 29.8 on the wets has got to be daunting. Maybe a little bit less daunting now as Seb slots himself into the 1-minute 29s as well. Bambi on a 1-minute 30 dead. That is a very, very satisfying lap time, if I do say so myself.
Very satisfying.
But it's all about the Alfa Romeos right now. Farmer Sam going through the Della Roggia chicane. And struggling a little bit on the power as well, Ben. Trying to get that right foot down to the ground.
Looking reasonably in control at the moment. Looks a little bit spicy on that exit curve, but keeps it pointed the right way. But everyone so far has crashed out at this Ascara chicane, so it looks like this is a real danger point in these conditions at the moment.
Well, it's a hard section to get right in the dry at the best of times, Ben. I mean, just going from previous experience, I've unfortunately had a lot of crashes at that corner. My mind goes back a few seasons ago.
Yes, yeah, I've never seemed to nail that one, so that one is definitely a hard one to get right. But Farmer Sam managed to navigate it this lap, or this time around. What's his time going to be?
It's good enough for 12th place at the moment. Slots himself in between Jacob Meister and Bunnings Snag with a 1-minute 32.279. If you're just joining us, welcome. Welcome to the warm-up, I guess, for the big spectacle that's going to happen in approximately 6 and a bit hours time. It is AFR season number 7, round 15 at the Temple of Speed. My name is Mikkel, joining me for the first time in the comms box, and it's an absolute pleasure to be in the comms box with you, Ben. If I do say so myself, it is Bandcamp, the founder of Aussie Formula Racing, and quite a fast driver at that. I believe you've got
Thank you very much. You flatter me with your words. We've only got we've got Forehead and Lights out, who didn't set a time. Lick is out, but was able to get a time in, and now we're just waiting for Conrad to navigate his way around on the wet tyre, currently on an hour lap after damaging his front wing on his first attempt.
Well, having a look at Sneaky, of course, one of the newer additions, recently picked up a full-time seat over at Williams to partner the great Sebastian. It's quite the task. They talk about all the time in real F1 how the most direct comparison is, of course, your teammate. Not quite the same rules in these equal spec cars, But in the terms of going against your teammates, I mean you've had some very very rapid teammates in the past, Band.
I
Seb being
have
one of
indeed.
those, Revo being another. Does
Yes,
that
yes.
statement hold up in league racing?
I mean, to be fair, if you're running equal cars, you're all in equal machinery. So, you know, it's all down to the individual and how much time they're willing to put in and practice and all that kind of jazz. So, but of course, there's still going to be inter-team rivalry. You always want to beat your teammate regardless of the settings in league racing. So, but I think that's a good pairing, Sneaky and Seb in the Williams. Both very strong drivers. Both going to be helping contribute points to the combined constructors championship that we have running here at AFR.
Yes, it's quite a stacked team actually if you go across all of the grids. I do believe they're in the lead of things at the moment as well, Ben. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but they are in a close fight with this team that is currently on your screen. It is, of course, the Red Bulls, and both Red Bulls actually in a very, very nice position to start this race so far. Third and fifth, both reserve drivers, but they are showing that they are, they're not slow by any means, Ben.
No, definitely not. Definitely putting themselves out there for a full-time drive. So we'll have to wait and see how they go come the race. But
Well,
you are correct. Williams are leading the combined constructors championship on 666 points. Oof, say no more.
yeah, I mean,
Coming second is Red Bull on 603. So still gettable, still roughly midway through the season. So
yeah, the slow Aston Martin on that left-hand side, that'd be Conrad, as Bambi goes to the top of the timing tower band. A 1 minute 29.695 separates himself and Crush by just under 2/10 of a second. And Crush has actually selected the wet compound tires for his next run. About 5 minutes remaining in the session. We won't have that usual lull period as all the drivers are just waiting for that opportune time to get the best of the track conditions. But there are still quite a few drivers out there actually on flying laps. Farmer Sam is one, the Saggy Kid another. It looks like Bambi's actually pushing for a second flying lap, just goes purple in that first sector band.
yes, he did, and he's coming up to the back of Saggy Kid, who's also on a flying lap at the moment. So I don't know how that's going to work out for him. But I don't think Bambi's actually stopped. He's done 6 laps back to back. So, and it's interesting to see everyone seems to have transitioned off the extreme wets onto the intermediate tire. So I wonder why Crush has elected to go onto the extreme, but we'll have to wait and see how he handles that.
Well, maybe he
Saggy
knows
Kid getting out of
something.
the way as well.
Yes, we have a Ferrari around in the middle sector. That would be a BT. And of course, the sole Ferrari on this grid. That's the one car that we're missing, unfortunately, at Monza, the top of Ferrucci. Not going to be the happiest bunch, but all going to have their umbrellas out in these kinds of conditions, man.
Yeah, very much so. So Bambi actually has come into the pits probably for a quick tyre change and top up some fuel as Seb now starts his lap coming into the first corner, the first chicane. And
Yes.
he's trying out the inters as well now.
Yep, Seb currently third fastest, about 2.5 tenths off of Bambi's provisional pole time. And Seb, he's a very experienced driver. Quite a few accolades to his name. He's down though through the first sector. We'll see if he's able to make up some time in the middle and final sections of the lap. Looks pretty tidy through the Della Roggia chicane, and then two Lesmos, very, very on edge as the car just really wants to step out on you, especially on the exit of both of them. Very hard to get the power down, but it looks like experience prevails. Which you'll be glad to hear that, as Seb looks like he's absolutely flying down towards the Ascara chicane.
Not afraid to use some of the curves, is Seb, so he's obviously got some confidence around here. And like you were saying, he is quite an experienced driver. Took some time off and he's rejoined the grid, hence why he's in Tier 3, but definitely experienced and quite a quick driver. So I'm not surprised to see anything out of young Seb here.
Yeah, he might be one of the most experienced drivers on this grid. But like Kimi, seems to never age in terms of experience, and he will jump up into the front row, but unable to get Bambi by only 100th, just over 100th of a second. That is nothing. That's less than a blink, band. It's absolutely incredible how close those two are on that front row at the moment.
Yeah, very, very tight. It's actually like, yeah, 1/100th of a second difference pretty much. So very, very close to pole position there. He's got enough time to maybe squeeze in 2 more laps if he can manage his ERS and if he's got enough fuel. But we are under 2 minutes left in this session.
Bambi, unfortunately, having a few connection issues. So that'll be his qualifying done. He won't be able to improve in that 1 minute 29.6. Currently looking at Mr. P, currently sitting 12th fastest in that Alpha Tauri, making his way to, I believe, start a flying lap. Lots of cars now out there on the circuit as there's just 1 minute and 20 seconds remaining. If you're just joining us, welcome to the first of 3 races here around the Temple of Speed. My name is Mikhail. Joining me in the comms box is Bandcamp, and we have a wet qualifying ahead of what I assume is a dry campaign based on how much those drivers were struggling in the opening parts of qualifying. As Sneaky in that Williams goes into provisional pole, so it looks like the track is definitely starting to ramp up, Ben, and it's all going to be on who nails this final lap.
Oh, Seb goes quickest with a 129.4, 2/10 clear of his teammate there, Sneaky. So yeah, definitely the confidence, and maybe the track is starting to dry up. I'm not too sure, but times are starting to come down.
Latino in that McLaren, of course, filling in for the great Gus Rules, who unfortunately was unable to be here to rejoin the track unsafely and block Sebastian.
Yes, good old Javo not able to make it today.
So we have Latino filling his place, currently sitting in 13th. I mean, he's beating out Jacob Meister, so that's going to be saying something. Goes through that final corner now. It looks like he might be starting a lap. He's got a lot of battery in the tank, but he has been burning it. We'll see what time he's able to pull on the board. It's enough for 8th place. 4 milliseconds between himself and
7/10 he improved there.
Yes. Very, very nice effort indeed. He has time to go again as the checkered flag has dropped. It will be Bunning Snag next across the line. He improves by about 5/10, goes 6th fastest. Does the Aston Martin. Next across the line will be Mr. P. He'll start 11th at best. Next up, I have Only F1 goes into 6th fastest. As it looks like Jacob Meister will actually pip his teammate for the evening as Sneaky improves yet again to make it a Williams front row at the current stages of qualifying. A 1 minute 29.281 as Seb now comes across the line. Can he beat it? Yes, he can! With a 1 minute 29.1. That is an absolutely rapid lap time. Can Crush do anything as he now rounds that final corner, trying to get on the power as early as he can. Looks like the Saggy Kid goas up into 5th fastest as he crosses in that Mercedes. Crush will pip the Red Bull of Bambi, but he is unable to get even close to the 2 Williams cars. And that is a very, very comfortable front row lockout, but it's Seb on a pole position for this 27-lap campaign around the Temple of Speed.
I don't think Beatty's going to improve. I think he'll be coming into the pits this lap, and I'm not sure about Latino either.
All right, Latino's 2 seconds down. It's all on Simi Skate, the Alpha Tauri, the last driver to set a flying lap. He improves, but not enough to change his position. He will stay behind his teammate in 15th place, the only driver to set a lap on those extreme wet tyres come the end of the session. And that's the grid.
Unfortunately, Conrad not able to even get a time on the board there, so very disappointing for the Aston Martin driver, and still stayed on the extreme wet tyre for the whole of qualifying. So, interesting. But it may work out for him, the DRS train of a track.
Yes, of course, DRS being extremely potent all season long, and coming to Monza, it is going to be no exception. But it is a Williams front row lockout as Seb takes his, well, I believe my guess is 5th pole position of the season. 4th, 5th, something around that. Anyway,
Could be.
Yeah. Sneaky will line up alongside him, his new and improved teammate. Crush in 3rd for Alpine. Bambi in 4th for the Red Bulls. It is Saggy Kid, Dalek, and looks like they're all very, very keen to go. go through the rest of
Yeah,
the grid.
very eager to get this race underway, and I'm sure some of them will be quite disappointed with their qualifying results. But again, it was such a tight field, so I'm expecting it to be quite a tight race as well.
Yes, I mean the DRS absolutely essential around well basically every track so far this season, and even more so at Monza. But I don't see a cloud in sight, band. So these drivers are going to be pushing 100% for 27 very intense laps. If you're just joining us, welcome. You're just in time to see the race around Monza, the first of three here at AFR this evening. My name is Big Cow. Joining me in the comments box is a Bandcamp, and we have a lot of pace trapped in this field, and a very scary first braking zone as well, Band.
Yeah, well, it's probably the scariest and riskiest on the calendar, and I'm sure if anyone's done any racing, they know what Monza Turn 1 is like. So drivers really need to be aware. And the other thing is, because we had a wet qualifying, every driver has free choice of tyre. So it's going to be interesting to see what the drivers actually elect to start on, and how that pans out for them. But this also means that they have a full selection of tires. So they've got multiple fresh soft tires and multiple medium tires to start on. It looks like a lot have gone for the soft tire for the start.
Yeah, it's actually only 3 runners electing for the mediums. That is the drivers in 12th, 13th, and 14th, as Dalek already gets disqualified from the formation lap. Unfortunate for him. Latino, Lick, and Mr. P all opting for those medium compound tires, but it is a Seb and Sneaky locking out the front row for the Williams team. It is Crush in third, Bambi in fourth, the Saggy Kid in fifth, Dalek in sixth, and then we have Only F1 in seventh, Bunny Snag in eighth, Jacob Meister ninth, and Farmer Sam rounds out the top 10 with BT, Latino, Lick, Mr. P, Semi Skate, Scar Souls, Forehead, Lights, and Conrad rounding out the back 9 on this field. 27 intense laps await us around the Temple of Speed. The free tyre choice, so everyone's going to be starting on fresh softs except for those 3 mentioned before. And I do have to argue with that on the Monza being the scariest turn 1. I dare say Sandevot is well up there as well.
Oh yeah, it is, but it's quite a different corner. I mean, you're almost stopping here at Monza, and it's so renowned for especially online open lobby racing to just die at turn 1. So, I mean, league racing you expect better level of driving, but mistakes still happen. Everyone's pushing quite hard, trying to make up places. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure if you mentioned, but we've only got 3 drivers starting on the medium tyre, Latino,
Yes.
Lick, and Mr. P. Yeah, so Lick, Forehead, and Lights all massively out of position from where they would be expecting to be. So I'd be keeping an eye on those drivers to see how they progress.
Yes, those 3 definitely ones to watch, especially Lick on those medium compound tyres. If he gets a safety car at the opportune time, he will be laughing as all those guys around him have to go for soft, or have to go on the medium tyres for their second stint. But it looks like we are just about ready to get things underway. The 2 Williams cars nicely in formation, about to take their slots on the grid, and then we just wait for Bambi, who is unfortunately had a little bit of an issue on his formation lap. He's that Red Bull at the back of things at the moment.
He should regain control of his car when the lights come on or about to go out. So we should have everyone in and ready to race.
AWS providing us with the pit strategy, an easy one-stop soft medium pitting around laps 11 to 13 according to the Red Bull pit wall. But things are about to go dark, Ben. The drivers are now on this grid, and we just wait for that lights sequence to start. A little bit of connection issues. Looks like plaguing this lobby, unfortunately. And these drivers, all this time that they're sitting on the grid, the tyres get cooler and cooler and cooler. And we saw in Tier 1, I mean, I experienced it firsthand, Band, how devastating that can be off the start of the race.
Yeah, tyre temperatures are incredibly important in motor racing, and especially Formula 1. And that's no different for the league racing either. So hopefully we get underway shortly. I'm not exactly sure what we're waiting for.
Might be Bambi, or either one of the Red Bulls actually have had a couple of issues. Hopefully that isn't foreshadowing of races to come. But I'm not going to get into that. That's just going to start a riot. But anyways, yeah, we just looks like the race director has taken his sweet time, making sure that everything is well and truly ready to go. Not even a marble in sight. Make sure this track is ready to go.
Spotless.
Absolutely, absolutely, and hopefully it will remain spotless into this first braking zone. But if history is anything to go by, I don't know.
I don't think it'll be spotless for long. I think it might be Bambi the issue, but I'm not entirely sure.
Well, this car is definitely vibing on this grid, bouncing up and down. You can see in the cameras as well. We've talked a lot about turn 1, Ben, but we forget to talk about turns 4 and 8 as well on the opening lap. Those are no simpler. Of course, going back a couple of seasons in Tier 1, T-Mac facing the wrong way out of the Della Roggia chicane. So even if all these drivers survive turns 1 and 2...
well, my game's just crashed.
Oh, and my game has crashed as well. Absolutely beautiful.
Absolutely esports ready.
Esports ready indeed. Well, we'll get that going again as soon as possible. Probably the worst possible time for the game to crash is on the race start. But as history goes, I do expect a lap 1 safety car. We're no stranger to it here at AFR, and especially with the new regulations, as I like to call it, with the damage settings, can be quite a challenging one at that.
Just try and load back in as quickly as possible.
Yes, thanks for bearing with us, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you may be joining us. For those of you in Europe, good morning. It's going to be a big day. Yeah. Don't want to see too much chatter about the race. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions and who they will be rooting for. We're just trying to get...
I must remain silent.
Yeah, well, I know definitely where you stand on that one.
I'm sure many people know where I stand on that one.
And we're just loading back into the session in just a few moments' time. And as you can see on the stream right now, loading in the Italian GP. It's always a classic, regardless if it's league racing or in the real life championship. And I dare say we might be already underway as we load in. And yes, we are. We are on the second lap of this race, and it looks like Sneaky has had a very, very nice start. Indeed, he has taken lead of things from his teammate Seb, actually having a very, very poor start, but the Saggy Kid is in second. Dalek up into third place, and the biggest winner so far has got to be Lick, up those 5 places into 8th place, as we have side-by-side action going into the Della Roggia chicane on board with the Red Bull of Dalek as he tries to make yet another move past the Mercedes. A Red Bull getting past the Mercedes band. Well, I do believe so. It is Dalek up into that runners-up place, but it looks like Sneaky is well and truly away. We have a yellow flag. That's See Me Skate out of the race, and Scarsos has been disqualified as well, and we have a virtual safety car on the second lap of this race.
Is this actually the second lap, or is this just a glitch? Because I feel like this would be the first lap still, going by how close the field is, so...
Well, it definitely looks like it is the second lap. We'll double check as the drivers go past the line, but what is for certain is that it's full course caution. The yellow flags are out, and Simi Skate has crashed at the Della Roggia chicane, making him the second victim of the 19 drivers to the Temple of Speed. So Sneaky got away well in the first place, so always a nice thing to have. Unfortunately for Bambi, he had an issue, as it is indeed now lap 3. DRS has been enabled, and look at that, Seb already on the run, trying to have a little look up the inside of this Saggy Kid into the first braking zone, but unable to quite get alongside just yet, as all these drivers now try and get their tires up to temperature. Sneaky as well, it's really a way band, 2.5 seconds at this early stage of the race. He is looking in complete control, although it is only the third lap. He's in a very good spot at the moment.
Yeah, he is, and I just had a quick look at the race director. So the 2 Williams drivers picked up penalties, both for corner cutting. So very early to have that.
Yeah, still
So I'm guessing it was a major cut.
Yeah, well, DRS now in full utilization for all these drivers within that 1 second of the car ahead. You can just see how fast they go down that second DRS zone, reaching almost 340 kilometers an hour in the slipstream, cutting a hole through the air and just reducing that drag coefficient as they go down this very, very long straight towards the Alboreto curve. Looking at Sebastian, our championship leader, going through this very, very fast section of circuit. Well, actually, the whole circuit is very, very fast. They are full throttle band for 80% of the lap, so low downforce. You see those Monza spec rear wings in real life. Unfortunately, that doesn't quite get modeled properly in the game, but I'm sure if we could have a look at some of these drivers' setups, there would be a very low aero around this track.
Yes. Yes, they would, and it is called the Temple of Speed for that reason. I'm also noticing it's looking a little bit overcast.
Yeah, the clouds have come out. No, the clouds have definitely come out to play. We'll see how that affects the drivers, if there's any rain forecast for later on. That'll definitely throw a spanner in the works, but at least all these drivers will have at least some practice in the tricky conditions, given how qualifying was.
Yeah, very much so. And I'd also mention Dalek is also kind of stemmed the flow of loss.
Oh, here we go. We have a battle for 7th as Bunning Snag getting past Jacob Meister with ease with DRS assistance. A little bit of a break in the train, but the Aston Martin now up into 7th place, and Jacob getting all out of shape out of the exit of Ascari. That's going to make him easy pickings for Lick, who has actually underfueled the car. It should be said. You can see that yellow fuel indicator on the telemetry on the bottom of your screens, but that is Jacob down 2 positions in the space of 2 corners band. So not a great start for the Kiwi, but it looks like they're all hanging on to that DRS all the way down the straight, as Crush has a little bit of a half look into the first braking zone, as does BT behind them, but Farmer Sam and Latino going side by side into the Rettifilio chicane. And it looks like it's Farmer Sam making that move on that soft compounder tyres, making himself the first of the non-point scorers at the moment. It is 11th place for the Alfa Romeo.
So also Lick all the way up into 8th place so far. So he's had a good start on the medium tyre. Currently the highest running medium tyre driver out there. Just on the cusp of DRS from Bunning Snags as well, apparently.
Yes, 1.1 seconds separates those two at the moment, but it's a lot closer in this battle for this final podium place. Seb almost pushing the Mercedes through the Ascari chicane. The Mercedes gets a bit on the curb at the exit of turn 10, and here we go, the Williams to the left-hand side. Does he have the speed? Well, he certainly does, as the Sega Kid unfortunately disconnects at probably the worst possible time. We have a bit of ghosting action as well. That shouldn't probably be happening, but to Crush's probably benefit, as he can just not scrub any speed off. Has that DRS, and he will make it easily past the Mercedes as well. But Seb back into the podium places, just outside that 1 second gap to Dalek in second.
Already lap 6. These laps seem to fly by as Saggy rejoins the session.
It's a little bit of battling further down the grid. There's a bit of argy-bargy between Latino and Farmer Sam, battling it out for that 11th place once again, as Elias was able to get past Mr. P as well into the first braking zone down in 13th. White's a little bit of a quieter start compared to Lick. They may be out the same amount of positions, but yeah, it's not been the perfect start for the Alpine.
Also, Forehead not really making up as many positions as I was kind of expecting. He was battling Mr. P just there, but wasn't able to get the move done.
I see some raindrops. I see some raindrops on board with Forehead going down towards the Ascari chicane. It's starting to rain, band.
Wow, it is too. And I'm guessing this is why so many drivers opted for the soft tyre, expecting this rain to come. But how long will it take for it to become to that changeover period to go on to at least the intermediate tyre? So Will these softs be able to hang out until that point? We'll have to wait and see.
Well, I'll tell you one driver who is not keen on waiting any longer. It is Forehead. He has that DRS, that slipstream, doesn't even need the overtake. He looks to the right-hand side, getting very close to the wall. Mr. P giving the good old squeeze into turn 1. And but that is, unfortunately for the AlphaTauri, going to be quite a textbook move from the Haas. Now up into 14th place. And as this rain starts to get heavier and heavier, as we are anticipating here in the comms box band, it is going to get even more challenging to overtake at a track where it can be challenging to overtake. Oh, as Forehead absolutely clobbers the curb.
Goes over both curbs.
That is going to be some underbody damage. I'm sorry, that is 99% going to be some underbody damage, as it looks like the only F1 and Saggy Kid about to go side by side into Scurry. No, not quite, but it is Bunny Snag on the inside of the Mercedes. Can he hold it around? They're still side by side through this section of the track. Oh my goodness, man. They both managed to live and tell the tale, but it's still a drag race between these two going down into the final corner.
Great respect from those two drivers, leaving each other space in such a dangerous corner as well.
Well,
and we've got
corners,
Bambi's gone off.
Yes, Bambi.
At the Ascari chicane.
Bambi has found the gravel at the entry of turn 10. Not ideal in the slightest. Red Bull having to recover that, but there's a lot of close gaps, and it's Farmer Sam trying to get past Jacob, as Lights is also trying to find a way past. Down the inside goes the Alfa Romeo, now on board with Jacob as he absolutely hops over that curb and all out of shape on the exit there. He's going to come under pressure from his teammate as well. Latino getting past with ease.
I think he's just going to yield. He just yields to his teammate. I think he picked up some floor damage going over that curb. I flicked to it right as he was bouncing, so... Also, just going to mention the top 4 really starting to pull away now, and they are starting to reel sneaky in. That gap was out to 2.4 seconds, now down to 1.6.
Yes, with Dalek leading that train. Seb again getting very close in the braking zone, and these kinds of conditions are going to separate the boys from the men at the moment, Band.
Yeah, and this is where experience is it's invaluable. Like, you just can't put a price on it. Just knowing how hard to push and what corners to push and not push on. It just takes so much time to learn these kinds of things. So this may be coming to help Seb here. The most experienced driver, definitely in the top 10 at the moment.
Meanwhile, a bit further down, only F1, Bunning Snag about to have an exchange for 5th place. The Saggy Kid not too far behind them. They're going side by side into the Retafilio chicane once again. Oh, a little bit of contact between the two cars, but they are able to keep it both on the black stuff, as you say. And it is fair game. The Alfa Romeo now up a position as the other one loses a position. The Lights getting past Farmer Sam as well in that first braking zone, but the Aston Martin not quite done yet. He's not going to take it without a fight, is only F1. And Bunning Snag is definitely piling on the pressure in these ever-changing conditions out here on this track.
Yeah, and I think he used a lot of VRS trying to keep only F1 at bay for as long as he can. So this might be a good opportunity to try and, build up those reserves again. Just sit behind only F1, get your battery charge back up. But I don't know if he's wanting to wait around. He's putting the pressure on already.
We have a yellow flag. It looks like Conrad going slowly as Farmer Sam and Lights exchanging once again. They're actually about to go side by side into the Ascari chicane. Farmer Sam backs out of it. Latino now has the run. Could he get maybe not just 1 but 2? No, he doesn't quite have that straight line speed, but the Saggy Kid getting past only F1 as only F1 actually goes down 2 positions going into the start-finish straight. We can't keep our eyes off of that front 4 as well. Crush getting very, very close to the back of Seb in that Alpine.
They've reeled in sneaky as well, so I wonder, they've pulled him in so quickly. I wonder if he's either killed his tyres or if he's picked up some damage somewhere, because, he was quite quick, and now it's down to, 0.6, almost half a second. So going to be interesting to see how he fares.
Oh, we have a retirement. Lights is out. He's crashed at the exit of the Retafilio chicane, and we have a full safety car here at lap 10 of 27 in AFR Tier 3. And that has probably come at the absolute worst time for all the drivers on this grid. Because what do you do? Like, you're going to have to pit, obviously, but is it for mediums or is it for intermediates?
Conrad's already made that choice. He is pitting onto the intermediate tyre. I mean, I think it's far too early for that, but it's just not wet enough yet. And it seems to be just spitting. And it is possible for this game to stay at this kind of wetness where it's just a couple of drops of rain, but it's not actually wet enough to put on the wet tyre. So, oh, it's a big gamble indeed.
Well, all eyes on the front runners as Sneaky. He pulls into the pit. No, he actually doesn't.
He fakes.
Seb is the only driver of the top 4 to enter this pit lane. And we'll see if anyone else decides to follow him through. Looks like the Mercedes of the Saggy Kid has followed him in. But Bunning, Snag, and Only F1 are both opting to stay out. Actually,
Seb going onto the medium tyre. So he thinks it's not going to rain hard enough just yet. And it is only lightly spitting. So it might be the right decision there.
Well, they've played the hand. I don't know if that's the saying, Ben. Or you'd probably know
Showed
better than
their
I.
hand.
Yes,
Showed their hand,
they
maybe.
showed their hand. Well, the coin has been flipped. And looks like they have taken the risk.
So Jacob, Forehead, and Conrad all on the intermediates. Bambi putting on the medium tyre. So a bit of a mixed reaction here to this safety car.
Well, right on board with the Williams, and it's not raining a lot.
No.
It's a bit hard to tell. Of course, the drivers will have more information than we do in the comms box.
And we all know how quickly it can change, like the coding or programming in this. I mean, it can go from bone dry to soaking wet in the course of half a lap. So I guess, yeah, the drivers are going to have Jeff in their ear telling them potentially what might be happening. But, yeah, definitely a very early call to go onto these intermediates. A big, big gamble from those 3 drivers at the moment.
Well, if you are Jacob Meister, Forehead, or Conrad, you basically had nothing to lose at that point. Of course, all those drivers outside the 10. But it looks like, just looking at the gaps between Bambi and Conrad at the moment, I know there is a bit of a raw pace differential between the 2 drivers, but even still, that gap is growing fast.
Yep, Farmer Sam opting to pit under this safety car period. So let's see what he goes on to.
It's the soft tires. He's going to another set of softs.
Maybe he thinks it's going to rain, and he's just not willing to put on that intermediate tire yet. But you know, we're approaching the halfway point of this race. And, you know, this means he will have to stop again, regardless of whether it rains or not. Whereas I think some of the drivers, like Seb, if it doesn't rain hard enough, they can go to the end from here. And everyone from Sneaky down to Mr. P in P9, well, they haven't stopped. So they too are going to have to stop at some point. And I'm not too sure what the life is like on those soft tyres, but we're 11 laps in, and I don't think they would have too much left. So,
no, especially in these slippery conditions. I mean, you'll be able to get a fair bit of heat into them, certainly a lot more compared to those mediums, a bit less than those intermediates if the track is indeed too dry for that green-walled tyre. But the softs, maximum they're able to do is around 15 laps. Before you really start to risk them popping. But yeah, they've been struggling for a while now on those softs. This is actually the perfect pit window for putting on those medium tires in a completely dry race. So we'll see how things shape up.
Yeah, well, Seb's in the prime spot here. Lead car on fresh tires on the mediums, doesn't need to stop again. He's got Saggy Kid behind him who doesn't at the moment seem to have the same pace as Seb, but we'll have to wait and see. So will that experience come through and pay off for him? We'll have to wait and see.
Well, he's also got a 3-second time penalty to contend with. Can't forget about that black and white flag on the timing tower. Both Williams, the only drivers to have penalties so far.
And I believe they picked them up on lap 1 as well, both for corner cutting.
The stewards might have to have a quick look at that one in case there are some unjust warnings. I do know that the start-finish straight can cause quite a few issues if you exceed those white lines. But I mean, that is part of the track, so we'll see what the stewards say post-race. But as things stand right now, both Williams, the only two drivers with post-race time penalties to be applied. Seb in a very, very nice position, as you were saying, but he has a lot of traffic to get through in some pretty terrible conditions right now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only advantage that he's got at the moment is, well, there's two. Fresh tyres, and everyone in front of him needs to pit.
Conrad is really struggling on those intermediates, by the way.
Yeah, he's finally catching up, so I would be expecting this safety car to come in at the end of this lap. But yeah, he might be doubting that decision to put on the intermediate tyre.
I mean, he's stuck with it. A little bit slightly out of the second Lesmo, but the safety car has indeed been called in this lap as we just approach the halfway point.
I am starting to see some like damp patches around the track, but I still don't think it's anywhere near wet enough for the intermediate or full wet tyre, as Sneaky now starts to let the safety car go.
Yes, trying to weave and keep as much temperature as he can in these tyres. Monza, of course, quite a hard track to keep temperature in the tyres at the best of times. And
Sneaky trying to go. Oh no, that's a bit misleading there, but he's gone now. He's gone now.
Yes, riding on the board with the rear view of the Williams at the moment. Looks like it's been a pretty clean race start for all of them. We're now actually going to jump back a little bit to Crush as Bunning snag. A little bit close to him in the braking zone. A little bit of a touch, actually, I heard at that first braking zone. As one of the cars, I do believe that's only F1, has completely missed the corner. No, that is the Haas of Lick. Keeping up a 3
I think Forehead missed it as well on the intermediate tyre. Had a big lockup and just had to go to that runoff area, and he's
yellow flags
pressed all those places.
Forehead is really struggling as Seb makes a move past Latino for at 8th place. Next up on his list is Forehead's teammate of Lick, as Farmer Sam picks up a 3-second time penalty as well down there in 13th place.
So Conrad decided to get off those intermediate tyres at the end of the safety car period, just as the rain seems to be picking up, and Saggy Kid also pit at that restart.
Well, at the moment, Jacob Meister is losing quite a lot of time on those intermediate tyres. Now falls behind Farmer Sam as we're riding on board with Seb, currently sitting in 8th place, looking to try and make the move as the yellow flag looks like Conrad's gone off again at the second chicane. But Seb to the left-hand side, using that overtake. Does he have the overspeed band? He's got the overlap onto the grass as well. Can he find the grip in these tricky conditions? No, not quite. He tries to find the switchback, but Lick covers the inside line. It looks like he might actually be going into the pits as the Haas car. And yes, he does. He dives into the pit lane and goes in a bit too fast.
Speedy in the pit lane, fighting for that too hard. Bambi also making the call, so I'm not sure if Bambi picked up some damage there, but maybe it's wet. Getting too wet.
Seb going very deep at the first chicane. Latino getting very close to the back of him. He is struggling in these conditions right now, Band. As we have another yellow flag. Conrad off this time at the Ascari chicane.
Conrad really having a nightmare of a weekend here.
Yes, matches the real life Aston Martins, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Sorry, Seb Vettel fans.
Opting for the intermediate tyre as well. So it looks like we may have hit that changeover period, and we've had an incident at the second chicane. Yellow flags
Farmer
with
Sam.
Farmer Sam, Jacob Meister, and Forehead, I think.
Conrad this time at Alboreto. Spinning like a Beyblade. But it looks like the soft runners actually aren't doing too badly. Able to keep at least some temperature in the tyres. I do think it is starting to get a little bit more damp, but we are still nowhere near the crossover point for those intermediates as Jacob continues to lose time, about 5/10 in the space of 3 corners through Ascari. That is DRS enabled, and the fight for this race victory is starting to heat up really, really nicely as Dalek closing up ever closer to that Williams rear wing.
So Bunning Snags and Beatty both coming into
I'm
the
going to
pits
actually
now.
have
They're
to cut you off as there's a exchange for the lead. Sneaky getting a tire on the grass allows the Red Bull through. So Red Bull ahead of Williams for the first time in this race so far. We just have over 10 laps to go. And Sneaky is getting very close, as is Crush as well. Look how close all three of these guys are, Band.
Yeah, super close. And DRS is enabled still, so it's not that wet. Oh, Delic almost loses it.
Yeah, we're gonna
It's definitely getting wetter out there now. You can tell DRS open for Sneaky.
Oh, licks out. He's crashed at the Curva Grande, and that is another safety car.
Full safety car, just as Sneaky was having a run.
Oh my goodness.
That's a bizarre place to go off. I don't know how he went off there.
I think he just got a bit too eager on the throttle. He was indeed fighting for position. I do believe, I don't know. Short-term memory loss, I tell you, man. Gets me every single time I do one of these commentaries. But surely everyone pits for intermediates now, which means that Jacob will take lead of this race.
He might just do, yeah. And Seb almost making his way back up into the positions that he was before the first safety car. So it's not been too bad for him to gamble to go on the medium tyre. But definitely the right decision for the Williams drivers. But they are going to have to double stack.
Farmer Sam stays out on those soft compound tires. What are you doing, friend? What are you doing? Only F1 picking the mediums. Alfa Romeo Pitbull. What is happening? It's definitely going to be time for Inters by the time the safety car comes in. Any ideas what's happening on that Alfa Romeo pit wall, Band?
No idea at the moment. I'm guessing he just forgot to change it, and he went over the chicane at the exit of turn 1. So I'm guessing he just didn't change it to the preset of intermediate tires, or it could be a typical glitch from Codemasters.
Well, either way, this has definitely put a spanner in the works for those two. This safety car has been an absolute godsend for Forehead. Because remember, he crashed out in qualifying. It started towards the back of this grid. He's now a net second place, with only Jacob Meister ahead of him.
But, I mean, yeah, I'm not sure why Farmer Sam didn't come in. Maybe he feels he's got enough grip on the fresher tyre.
A little bit
I'm really not sure, but yeah, 10 laps to go in this race. He's going to have to stop, and if he stops now, he's going to fall pretty much back to the back of the field, just coming out in front of maybe 2 cars.
Yeah, Conrad and BT. Unfortunately, Conrad a lap down. That's about the entire field. You can just see all the cars just bunched up in this last part of the lap. There's a little bit of drama going on between Forehead and Dalek. A bit of a, questioning who is actually supposed to be in front. Answer, it is Dalek in the Red Bull. Actually, there's some more shuffling for pursuit. What is going on?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm guessing someone's illegally overtaken at some point and they're trying to redress, but gonna have to be careful, guys, doing this kind of stuff, because everyone else behind won't really know what's happening.
And now only F1's put on the full wet. I mean, Alfa Romeo just having a laugh? Are they all out, hitting the bar?
Yeah.
This is really bizarre from both drivers, to be fair. I mean, let's have a look on board. It definitely is getting heavier, but extremes? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's definitely not ready for extremes, but I am really starting to see the reflection of the flashing red lights coming up off the asphalt when you're riding on board with cars in this train. So I don't know, maybe we've got a bit of a graphical glitch. Maybe it's heavier than what we actually think it is. But yeah, that's a bizarre decision to put on the full wets at this stage, from what we can tell from the information we have in front of us.
Looks like this grid should hopefully be getting underway in just a few moments as Conrad and BT make their way towards the back of the queue. Safety car still out here on lap 18 of 27. And the skies have opened up yet again here at the Temple of Speed.
Yeah, I'll be safety cars in this lap. Very late call. Very, very late call. Safety car coming in this lap.
Late call. Farmer Sam on the wrong tyres leading this. I'm getting Smitty flashbacks here. This is going to be a very, very important race start for all drivers on this grid. Farmer Sam, he is trying to get them away, and it looks like the forehead is actually... Oh, it's a big crash! The Haas goes around! A snap from the McLaren, and his forehead out of this race. He is fully gone. That suspension is gone completely. But here we go. We are starting yet again. Farmer Sam going absolutely nowhere off this restart. He cuts the corner, getting a 10-second time penalty ban. And it is Dalek leading the way from Jacob Meister and Crush, now going side by side through the Curva Grande. And Bunning Snag not too far behind them as well. Oh, Farmer Sam, he's so slow.
This restart. Bunning Snag's getting a bit of an awkward position. Sneaky trying to get past. 3 wide into the second chicane. I think, who's that? The Farmer Sam's completely missed it, having to take to the runoff, going over some more curbs. Contact between Jacob Meister and Sneaky. Bunning Snag's looking for a way through.
Oh, there's an out from around. That's Farmer Sam off into the gravel trap at the exit of the first Lesmo. But that is a lot of drama off the restart here on lap 19 of 27. But it is Dalek leading things away from Crush and Sneaky, your top 3. Bunning Snag with a nice restart, as well as the Sega kit continues to fall further and further down this grid, as there's a lot of close gaps in this midfield. There's a bit of ghosting action as well for the second Red Bull of Bambi.
Jacob Meister losing positions hand over fist here at the moment, so I'm assuming he's got some decent damage. Seb looking to go for down the inside of Jacob Meister into the final corner. He does seem to get it turned in and get that move done. He can't afford to let these guys go, especially if DRS is disabled for the rest of this race. Now we are on intermediate tyres.
Dalek spun! Dalek has spun on the main straight. Maybe contact with Crush, but that is absolute disaster. Both Red Bulls now struggling in these kinds of conditions as Sneaky and Bunning Snag going side by side through turn 2. Ben, Mr. P dying on. He has the front row seats. He has the popcorn, but he can't rest easy for too much because he's got an angry Williams behind him as well. What a race we are witnessing here this evening.
Seb getting forced wide there. He's looking to make a move on Mr. P, going down the inside. He's got the inside line. Breaks later, pulls it up. Sneaky going deep ahead. Bunning Snags looking for the opening to try and take P2. Meanwhile, Crush is just on his own. Sneaky doing well there to hold it.
Yeah, Bunning Snag and Sneaky coming together now. Seb, we're now riding on board with the championship leader as he's now behind his teammate Yellow Flags once again at the Curva Grande. That is for Dalek. Looks like struggling as Jacob Meister gets overtaken by Bambi this time as the 2 Williams now swap places. So Seb back up into the podium places. Still has that 3-second time penalty, mind you.
Yeah, I think Sneaky's got some floor damage, so he doesn't want to hold up his teammate too much here, especially considering he is the championship leader. And Seb now up into P3, trying to close down Bunning Snags, but Crush out to a 3.5-second lead at the moment.
Absolutely astounding work from the Alpine. Yellow Flags again in Sector 2, but now riding on board with Mr. P in this battle for 4th position. You alluded that Sneaky might have some bodywork damage. Mr. P looking to the outside for the first chicane. They rob wheels as they go down. Dalek is now retired at the exit of the first Lesmo. Only local yellows at the moment, but Sneaky defending well from the AlphaTauri behind.
Yeah, some gaps now starting to form out front, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw Sneaky go over some curbs, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's got some damage. Oh no. And he's before the straight. Oh, we've got another safety car.
The safety car has been called. If you're an Alpine fan, probably the last thing you want to hear is that gap is just going to disintegrate to absolutely nothing.
Dalek's car was still there on the right-hand side of the track as we went past, so it's now disappeared. But he was definitely in the wall. And, oh, wow, the loss of drivers in the last 2 laps has just been absolutely incredible.
Well, I've said this with Seb during the Tier 2 broadcast, and I'm sure you can agree with me as well, Band. This season, right, has all been about pressure. As the
Oh yeah,
laps continue to tick over and over, and you've probably experienced it yourself, of course, race winner. It's this season, multiple podiums as well. You feel that pressure cooker environment, and in conditions like these where they might not be running perfect setups for the weather out there this evening, and there are lots of points on the line, lots of very close, very tight gaps, and at Monza, where, as you know, contrary to what you may believe, it is quite difficult to make a move stick in the train. You just
yeah.
get those moments where a lapse of what concentration can yield catastrophic results, especially at a high-speed circuit like Monza.
Yeah, that's why it's just key to just keep your head down, try and keep as focused as you can, and just never give up. You never know what's going to happen. I mean, we've had so many retirements this race already, and we're getting to the point where if you finish, you might just pick up a point.
Yeah, so only 2 finishers will not score in this race. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to rule Conrad out of that one, as he is still, I believe, a lap down from
Yeah,
everybody else.
and I would probably say that in some of the most intense races that I've had, I came to the final lap not even aware that it was the final lap, because I was just so focused on each and every corner and trying to get the lap together and as clean as possible that you don't even know how long until the end, and then you just come around across the finish line and it's over. So that may be the commitment that's required in a race like this, just to be super focused and just be on the ball, ready to make a move when required, ready to take evasive action when required. But this is also a bit of a lifesaver for some of the guys that are further back, like the Alfa Romeo guys and Saggy Kid as well. But unfortunately, if you've got floor damage, well, there's no fixing that.
No, and very, very easy to damage the underfloor here at Monza. The curves, compared to the previous couple of or just compared to any of the seasons gone by, as looks like Beatty and Conrad have come together down the main straight. I actually see a missing end plate as well for an Aston Martin. Are my eyes deceiving me? No, they are not. Conrad has broken his wing yet again.
Yeah, I think Conrad was just trying to get to the back of the field at the moment and just let all the cars through. So I'm not too sure how that contact came about. But we are on lap 22 of 27, so we're only going to have a handful of laps of running once this safety car comes in. And it may come in at the end of this lap, or we may have one more lap, depending on how Farmer Sam goes on catching up to this grid.
Well, he certainly won't catch it before the guys reach the final sector split. He's still an odd 33 seconds behind the rest of the pack. We'll have a quick look at penalties while we have a little bit of a lull in the action. Current penalty situation, Seb, Latino on 3-second penalties apiece. BT and Conrad, of course, both with 5-second time penalties after their collision just a few moments ago. And Farmer Sam with 13, as he really struggled on those softs on a damp track, as you would probably expect, given the conditions out there. And it looks like Conrad finding the gravel as well, and the grass.
So just having a look in the chat, Dalek saying that he got Verstappen a Baku-like puncture, so he's picked up a puncture on the straight.
Now, could that be as a result of debris? So it probably is a safety car.
Most probably a safety car coming in this lap, so Farmer Sam is not going to be able to catch up. And again, another late call coming into the final corner, but Conrad is going to have to stop here. Does have damage, but that's not what we're looking at. Crush is gone. Bunning Snags caught napping a little bit. Seb all over the back of Bunning Snags as we watch them run down into turn one. Bunning's trying to hold the inside line. Seb looks to the outside, brakes a little bit later. They're side by side coming into the turn one. They touch a little bit. Seb trying to stay off the curbs. They just get through there. A little bit of argy-bargy, but it seems to be okay.
Oh, it's
Bunning
2 by
Snakes.
2 behind them as well. Look at this. Mr. P and Sneaky going side by side through the curve at Grande. It's a Grande move. Not quite for the AlphaTauri. The Williams stays in front, but into the second chicane they go. On board now with Sneaky in 4th place. You can see how much it's actually starting to pick up now, the weather. The rain really starting to pour.
How did I miss that?
Yeah,
what
Farmer Sam, a bit of an issue at Ascari as soon as the race got underway. So we are down to 11 runners. So if you finish this race on the lead lap, you will be scoring at least 1 point for your troubles, as we're just about to hit the 90% mark in this race as well. But Sneaky under a lot of pressure, not just from Mr. P, but from Latino as well. Bambi and Only F1 having an exchange as well right behind them, as the Red Bull is still ghosted on our screens, unfortunately. Unable to get back in, but it is a move done and dusted for the Alfa Romeo, and now the AlphaTauri about 2.5 tenths behind. Jumping on board now with Mr. P.
As we start lap 25 of 27, so it is a sprint to the end from here. No more safety cars.
A sprint it is. To the right-hand side goes the AlphaTauri. They are wheel to wheel going into this first braking zone. The Williams a bit later on the brakes, locks up. Does the AlphaTauri, gets forced onto the curb, does the Williams car, but they both make it through unscathed. And now Latino is trying to find his rear traction as he tries to make his way past both of them. Only F1, very opportunistic, but all these guys so tight for this battle for the 4th position at the moment, band. And it is absolutely, I mean, I was talking about it before, the pressure cooker environment with only a few laps remaining. It is make or break for all of these drivers right now.
Yes, it certainly is. And the only consolation is, well, the top 10 are pretty much the only people running left, other than Conrad, who's a lap down. So you are going to get points from here.
See how fast they're all going down. Bambi's AI actually not faring too badly in these kinds of conditions. Of course, probably won't be classified at the end as he didn't finish 90% of the race. We will let the stewards deal with that when it comes to that later on in the week. Meanwhile, at the front of things, Crush again finding his stride in these intermediate conditions. 2.4 seconds between himself and Seb. Seb has a 1.1 second gap behind him to Bunning Snag, but right behind them, things are still starting to heat up. Bambi's AI actually getting past Latino down the main straight, and we have a nice helicopter offboard shot of Mr. P still staring at that Sofino rear wing band.
Yep, and look, you can see Sneaky really struggling in these lower speed corners. And he's really dropping off Bunning Snags, who is still holding on to the Seb at the moment.
We've actually got a drag race through the Curva Grande between BT and the Saggy Kid. BT backs out of that one before they get to the braking zone for turn number 4. It was a good attempt from the Ferrari. I do have to say that, as only F1 finally gets back into the session. Unfortunately, it is going to be last place for the Alfa Romeo on track, but penalties, as you can still see on the timing tower, plaguing things. And Seb, he might be in a bit of a spot of bother if he wants to hold on to this runners-up position.
Yeah, well, as we crashed at the start of this race, we didn't actually see why he picked up that penalty. So we don't know if he's going to be able to appeal that post-race, but he'll be definitely trying everything he can to try and just get out of losing any positions regardless of that penalty. So he's pushing super hard at the moment. I don't have any intervals on my screen at the moment.
It's about 1.7 between those two at the moment, as there is 5.8 kilometers left of this race. It is, of course, the final lap. 27 of 27 here at the Temple of Speed, and still all to play for, as Mr. P yet again getting very close to that Sofino rear wing. Bambi's AI actually putting the AlphaTauri under a little bit of pressure, able to find the traction in those very, very difficult traction zones in these kinds of conditions. Latino falling a little bit back behind a Bambi Bot. It's a new name now.
Bambi Bot. But yes, it is the final lap now. So these guys are going to try anything they can. Any little gap they're going to go for.
The gaps have seemed to widen on this final lap. Mr. P not quite as close as he probably needs to be to that Sofina rear wing. Neither is Latino, actually falling a fair way back from the AI car. I haven't familiarized myself with the regulations on that part, but as things stand right now, it is going to be a very comfortable win for Crush. He has done it yet again, Ben, as the Alpine rounds the final corner. He will see the checkered flag and pick up the full 25 points and make that 26 as he has that fastest lap from the dry period. So maximum points for the Alpine, and he will take that top spot as Bunningstag will jump Seb on the line based on the penalties. It'll be a Williams 3-4 from their front row lockout. Not the result that they were hoping for, as Latino finishes in 5th. It'll be BT on his debut in 6th, Bambi in 7th, the Saggy Kid in 8th, only F1 in 9th, and Mr. P, who unfortunately, I believe, had a little bit of a spin, maybe? No. Maybe. Actually, he might have. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Hard to say. There was so much going on.
Just wait for Conrad to make his way around the final couple of corners. No points, unfortunately, for the Aston Martin, but props to him for sticking with it, even though he is a lap down from everybody. Glad to see him finishing this one when so many couldn't.
Yeah. And that's half the battle sometimes, just getting to the checkered flag.
Well, here he goes. He'll come across the line. He'll see his pitboard on the right-hand side and does a little nice slide in celebration and increasing Aston Martin's repair bill after a couple of front wing replacements were already required. But what a drive. Mr. P picks up the in-game driver of the day. But, I mean, Crush just drove absolutely phenomenally in those intermediate conditions. He is my driver of the day, band. A stellar drive from the Alpine on that top step. Well-deserved for him.
Very much so.
So we see the podium celebrations, the champagne being sprayed everywhere. Unfortunately, we probably won't see an Alpine on the top step tonight in Abu Dhabi.
Well, you never know. You never know. We have seen it once this season already. So.
We have, of course, Esteban Ocon at the Hungaroring. But it is Crush taking the full 26 points with that fast lap of 1 minute 22.362 in the dry. 0.3 faster than Bunningstag, who'll pick up the runners-up spot. And Seb from pole position dropping down to 3rd on his 3-second time penalty. Sneaky in 4th, Latino in 5th, BT on debut for Ferrari in 6th. A nice race from him, both him and Latino making up quite a few places, as did Mr. P from 14th to 7th in AlphaTauri. Bambi in 8th, unfortunately disconnected quite early on. We'll have to review if he actually receives those points, but it is Saggy Kid in 9th, only F1 in 10th, and Conrad the last of the 11 finishes with Farmer Sam, Jacob Meister, Dalek, Forehead, Lick, Lights, See Me Skate, and Scar Souls. That's a lot of DNFs, band, and that gets me very scared for my race, which is about to start in 10 minutes' time.
Yeah, it's a lot of DNFs. But, weather came into play definitely for that race there, so be interesting to see how Tier 1 goes, especially with the weather. So I wish you luck and try and keep it out of the wall, my friend.
That'll be the goal. That'll be the goal, most definitely. Folks, thank you for joining us in the comms box for this, the first of 3 races around Monza. My name has been Mikhail. Joining me has been Bandcamp. You'll see both of us racing a little bit later on this evening. Don't go anywhere. We're just going to have a short break as we transfer over towards, I do believe it will be both Kunai and Gus, if I'm correct, Ben?
Not too sure, but Gus might be a little bit later on, but definitely Kunai will be hosting the stream. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see who his co-commentator will be for this evening.
Yes, well, Kunai will take you through the Tier 1 race, and if practice is anything to go by, I will say it is definitely one that you won't want to miss. But thank you for joining us for Tier 3. This is Mikhail signing out, but don't go anywhere. Kunai will be back very shortly with the Tier 1 race.